Okay, so finished recording the last video. I figured I'd do this one. So this is my thoughts on the whole Marvel Infinite scenario when it comes to EVO. If you're not aware, EVO just released this lineup of fighting games for 2018. EVO is the granddaddy of all fighting game tournaments. It's literally where you want your game to be if your game is absolutely anything in this day and age. And it's been a while since we've had a scenario that's been anything close to this, especially a scenario where Marvel or a crossover title like Marvel vs. Capcom is not included in the roster of games that are going to be played. And it's very, very strange because a lot of people remember EVO for, or a lot of people were introduced to EVO in the, newer wave of generations. A lot of my friends, who have recently gotten into fighting games through the popularity of Marvel vs. Capcom and titles like that. A lot of those games are flagship titles and are games that we've spent like hours and hours and hours playing with each other, and it's just one of those shocking things when you realize it's very, very real and very, very apparent, like, downfall. It's very, very quick and sort of shocking downfall. So, if you're not aware, Marvel vs. Infinite is the latest title in the long-standing crossover series Marvel vs. Capcom, coming right after Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And right off the bat, from launch, it was facing like a really, really slippery slope because the presentation was just awful, and we already had some sort of preconceived notion that the roster was going to be lackluster because of the fact that there were no X-Men characters, and X-Men characters are a very big, prominent part of the Marvel vs. Capcom series. So that was already going to be a big, huge, devastating blow. Like, I saw that storm coming, and it came. And it's sort of like, from then on, leading up to the game's launch, has just been, like, the press that they did leading up to this game, the way that they treated this game as a package, the way they did, any sort of build-up for this game was just so half-hearted, as if it felt, at least to me, and this is a bit of a personal opinion, sort of a bit like a cash grab in a way where they just kind of expected fighting game fans to just kind of let this game happen, even though you can sense the amount of like non-caring that went into making this product. Like, everybody remembers the very famous Functions interview where it was stated that people don't necessarily care about characters or IPs, and they just care about what they can do in terms of in the fighting game itself, which is completely far from the truth, because a lot of people got into these games, and a lot of people who play fighting games or in general really do develop connections with the characters that they play as. So it's very, very weird for a fighting game company to say, or not a fighting game company, but someone who did press for that company or whatever. I think it was Filipino Champ. I'm not really sure. Don't quote me on that. But it was a really, really big thing that really kind of like set this whole stage for, it just set the whole stage for this weird energy around Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. And like, I've seen this happen with games before. I'm a big fan of the Devil May Cry series, so when the big reboot DMC happened, and you've probably heard that name, and you're probably either chuckling, snorting, or going, ugh, probably the third one. You probably remember all the controversy surrounding DMC in terms of its design choices and the entire nine of that. Essentially, it was just the developers sort of stating that although the fans liked the way like Dante looked, they felt like he wasn't cool enough or wasn't modern enough, and they wanted to do all these cool things, which the way they approached it was just not good, and it wasn't received well. And just the energy that was sort of set because of the build-up and the trailer, and just in general, you already know that something bad was going to happen, and what we got was pretty bad. But yeah, back to topic. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite it did not sit well with the fans. Although the game plays really, really well. Actually, I didn't get my chance to really, really like play the game much. I actually only played the game like 2 or 3 times, like, just being honest. My interest with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite has been on and off. There'll be days where I'm just sort of like, and probably like hundreds and thousands of other fans around, where you're kind of trying to convince yourself that this is going to be worth the $60 launch title, and it's going to be worth the entire thing, and worth dealing with the shitty presentation, and worth dealing with the, just the lackluster roster and just the lackluster story. It's going to be worth it somehow because the gameplay is going to be really, really good, and then it's going to be the next hype wave. And it really felt like the Marvel community was trying to sort of trick itself into kicking this game back into life, or kicking, not the game, using this game as some kind of like, the Marvel's back, that kind of thing. And I feel like we just didn't want to accept the fact at first that this game was not the game to carry us. And this is definitely not a game that I don't think, developers really, really cared enough about to give us something that we actually genuinely cared about. Gave us something that played well. They definitely gave us something that had great mechanics. They definitely gave us something that had great feel to it. The game felt amazing when I did get the chance to play it. A lot of my friends enjoyed the gameplay. I know there was a lot of problems at launch, and I know that but then like that's about it. That's like the only redeeming characteristic about a game like that. A lot of like the tournaments, the Battle for the Stones, I know the turnout for those tournaments were really, really low, at least for the grand finals, the Battle of the Stones, because people were so already depressed about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite at that point that they just probably didn't want to hear anything more about it. So I wouldn't blame them for not wanting to come out to a tournament where all they saw was Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. And I saw a lot of it on Twitch leading up to launch, whatever. But honestly, most of it was just Twitch streamers ragging on it. But yeah, so enough of that tangent. The reason why I feel that Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite failed is the fact that I feel like they were trying to sell us a movie. I feel like they were trying to sell us characters that we didn't want, but were going to be characters that are going to be represented in the next movie. It was very much felt like we're playing like Disney the game. It didn't really felt like we were playing the fighting game that we loved. I definitely feel like a roster is the core part as to why people pick up fighting games. When I first got into Marvel vs. Capcom, I got into the game because I was able to play as Mega Man, and I loved Mega Man. And I thought Mega Man was the coolest ever, in the fact that I got a chance to fight with Mega Man and with Ryu. I didn't know who Strider Hiryu was. I don't know who, like all these characters that were in that game, and later on Marvel vs. Capcom 2 got me into Street Fighter, Alpha 3, got me into like Tekken. All of those. It's because of the connection that I feel with the characters. It's because of the way the art makes me feel, the music, the style, the atmosphere that it presents. And I feel that when developers try to step away from those core elements, they are deliberately taking steps to step away from their fan base. And I feel that Marvel, for some reason, decided to cause this disconnect between their fans and their product. And that's a big issue, because you have to not only appeal to the new gamers, and I get that you have to do that. We want our communities to grow. You do need to remember that your fans matter. Your long-standing fans matter, who have supported your title for such a really, really long time. They matter. They matter so much. They matter because they preserve the legacy of your game. They matter because of the fact that they're the ones who tell their friends about this fighting game that's like a gem or whatever like that. It's sort of a thing where it's like developers are literally saying, hey, buy this game that I know you don't care about because we slapped the word Marvel on it. And I'm actually glad that it didn't make EVO. I honestly don't think it deserves to make EVO. And this is disappointing because I never want to hear myself say it. I remember when Marvel 3 just came out, and I would watch every tournament I can find on Twitch and on YouTube when it comes to Marvel 3. And I remember I was even in Florida with my mom, and I stayed up all night in the hotels just watching EVO. And it was so hype. It was just so much fun around that game, and what it did to the community was just electric. It was just electric. It's really this thing that really, at least for me, it's one of those games that really blew up the community and really put it on a bigger stage. And I feel that when you take that community and you tell them to basically fuck off and give them a product that they don't want to see, you don't really deserve to be the place that they want to, see the fighting games. That you don't really deserve to be on the main stage. And you know what? I feel like I'd rather see a lot of other games. I know that Street Fighter V has had a really, really rocky history. Even though I'm new to the game, I'm not jaded to that fact. I know that it has a really, really shitty history, but I do feel that Arcade Edition really came back. I really do feel that Arcade Edition is actually fun, and I like this is from somebody who just got into the game. I'm actually having a blast playing this game, and there's a lot of great games coming out. Dragon Ball FighterZ is taking the world by storm. And we do have that Under Night BlazBlue Persona crossover thing that's happening, which is really, really cool. We still have King of Fighters, which is an amazing, amazing game to watch at a high level. It's so much fun. Like Smash is always going to hold it down. We got a lot of great fighters and a lot of great games that are going to be sort of like taking the mantle. And it's very, very weird to see. Guilty Gear is also a big one. It's very, very weird to see a game like Marvel just fall by the wayside, you know? So if I were putting together any sort of tournament or something, right now, as it stands, I wouldn't want to see Marvel anywhere near it because I feel like it's all in the name. I feel like it's very, very disappointing to see the game pretty much die after the Venom reveal. And, it died before that. I feel like the Venom reveal was pretty cool. I notice I'm calling it the Venom reveal because I don't want to call it the Black Widow, Winter Soldier Venom reveal because we're getting movie characters with Venom, which is going to be another movie. Just Marvel just pitching us the shit. But it's just Disney. I mean, granted, there are hopes for Marvel Infinite's future. Just to sort of end the video on a bit of a lighter note, I know that something happened with the purchase of rights with X-Men recently, so there's definitely a possibility that we're going to be seeing X-Men back into, Marvel's Capcom Infinite. And I feel like this is something that's always been in the works. I'm not surprised because I feel like this was like their plan B. Like, if our base roster doesn't work, and if this DLC package doesn't work, and whatever, if the Battle of the Stones doesn't work, we still have the X-Men in our back pocket, and people are going to rush to play our game because the X-Men are in it again. Which, you know what, it might actually work because they are a huge part of the game. But honestly, looking at the side of the Capcom roster, I just don't feel enthused to play that game. I just don't feel... I don't feel it. Like, I kept trying to convince myself that it was worth the buy. I didn't buy it. I kept looking at it. I worked at GameStop for a while. I kept looking at it on the shelf. I was like, I'm going to pick up this game tomorrow. Never picked up the game. And I don't feel bad about it. Tekken 7's way better. Street Fighter's way better. Guilty Gear's way better. The Cross thing is going to be way better. Persona's way better. Dragon Ball FighterZ beats everything. And those are my thoughts. I do want to know what you think about it. I want to know what do you think is the future for the Marvel community? What do you think should have been done to properly launch this game? What would you have done differently? Do you have any characters that you would have put into the initial roster? Do you have any sort of nitpicks? Do you like the game? Do you love the game? Would you have liked to see it at EVO? I really do want to know what you think about it. Mind you, I'm just sort of like a humble, casual, semi-competitive gamer, just trying to, get my feet in the water about this whole thing, and it's just mesmerizing how a company can really just take a game and just kind of let it drop. But, like always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all next time with some cool videos. I'm probably going to do a video on Balrog within today. I'm pumping out a lot of things. I'm at home today, so I'm going to do a lot of that. So, subscribe if you haven't. It'd be great. You can keep up to date in a lot of our things. A lot of my things. Our things. This is me. And I do have a Twitch that I do play a lot of games, a lot of Street Fighter, and lose pretty badly online with Jury. And you'll get spammed with a lot of guitar covers, but I'm pretty sure, it'll be pretty cool. But take it easy, guys. Happy Tuesday. And, insert positive quote here.